fellow Ambazonians, greetings from the United Nations in Geneva. I'm standing here right in front of the hall where I just made the presentation of our case to the international community. I came here on behalf of the Alliance for Peace and Justice, APJ, which is a group of over a dozen Ambazonian nationalist movements that has come together in order to look for a solution to the current war and to see if we can advance our goal towards achieving independence. The paper that I presented seems to have been very well received in the sense that there were no objections and we were able to address diplomats from over 50 countries. And beyond that, we had over 500 rather, delegates representing other organizations, human rights organizations, and other NGOs. And some of these representatives were excited with what they heard and they want to collaborate with us. So I think that is significant to the international community about our plight. Basically, this presentation was based on a peace plan initiative that we have been working on with the goal of trying to resolve the current conflict, the current war, and bring about peace, but also to work away the path forward for autonomy and independence for our territory. And that was the plan I brought here to present. And it's a significant occasion because this is the first time that we have been able to present our case in front of such a large gathering of diplomats, but not just diplomats, but the gathering of over 500 other people who are struggling for rights, different types of rights. So we are trying to build this alliance not just amongst us, but amongst other communities. And I'm excited to say that there are a number of other communities, other organizations that have indicated their interest to work with us. So I think this is a great day and a great initiative, and we're very grateful, and I hope that it's going to move, that this initiative is going to move the struggle forward towards the ultimate goal of independence. But in the short run, I think we really want peace in the country, and because without peace, our people would continue to suffer.
Fellow Ambazonians, we have come very far. From the failed Canadian talks, we learn a lot of lesson, and also with development on ground and the momentum on the ground and the shifting of table and the impasse we have on the ground, we have learned a lot. We created PRAP with the sole initiative to learn from our mistake and change our method and adopt new methods to pursue the path of self-determination for the ultimate goal for independence of Ambazonia. We have seen things win the international community attraction and attention, and now their support. The international community approached us because they saw the method we are using and they believe we can succeed and they can help us. We have made a lot of progress. We have, through them, we have engaged with states party directly. In the United Nations General Assembly, the delegation of the ICO represented us and our case directly to the Secretary General and other state parties. We have direct endorsement from 13 countries coming from the General Assembly meeting of the ICO. And since people are confused, they don't really know. So we try to communicate what we are doing on the behalf of our people so that we are accountable to them. When the IOC went to New York and also to meet the Pope, Ebenezer Kwanga and Fontem Niba have put disinformation about their activity on our behalf, because the presence of Ehud Olmert, who is a former Prime Minister of Israel, amongst our delegation, they kind of think that the mission to the Pope or to New York was about Cyprus or about the Middle East. Ehud Olmert, who is a former Prime Minister of Israel, has become a very good friend of mine and for the people of Ambazonia and support our cause. He is a board member of the ICO and accompanies the ICO team on our behalf for our international engagement. Coming from the United Nations in Geneva, we have also had a meeting with the Finland government. The picture I'm going to share with you is the meeting that took place yesterday to lobby the Finland government to support the Peace Plan Initiative, a vision for autonomy with the ultimate goal of exercising the right of our people through a referendum for independence. We are going around the world following up on this foundation that have been laid in New York and now directly by Ambazonian addressing the United Nations. This is a speech addressed to our people from the chairman of the steering committee of the APJ, Dr. Asungo. I'll read the speech as follows. This is a speech put out by the chairman of the steering committee of the APG, Professor Asungo. I'll put out the speech just as he writes it. Alliance for Peace and Justice announced diplomatic achievement. The ICO supporting the APG's diplomatic and peace-building efforts, dated Boya, London, New York, Thursday, December the 5th, 2024. The Alliance for Peace and Justice in the former British Southern Cameroons today announced that the international community organization is supporting actively efforts towards the negotiated settlement with the Cameroon government aimed at putting an end to the pro-independence war, securing autonomy, and getting a referendum on the future of the former British Southern Cameroons. Apart from training the APG's member on conflict negotiation, ICO has also met senior United Nations officials as well as 13 countries in New York during the past General Assembly of the United Nations Organization to drum up support for the APG's peace initiative. It's exactly 1 week since we delivered a historic speech in the United Nations Forum on minority issues, calling for the international community to support our efforts towards peace and justice for the former British Southern Cameroon, an achievement which is facilitated by the ICO, said Professor Asungo. The ICO have drawn the world's attention to our conflict and pushed for negotiated settlement by both parties. In October, the former president of the United Nations General Assembly, who is currently an international ambassador for the ICO, His Excellency Abdullahi Shahid, held a meeting with the permanent mission of the United Nations with over a dozen United Nations member states and high-level United Nations officials, including the United Nations Secretary General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, his Deputy General, His Excellency Amina Mohammed, his Assistant Secretary General for Europe, Central Asia and Americas, His Excellency Moroslav Jinska, Under Secretary of General Assembly, His Excellency Guy Roda, and the President of ECOSOC, His Excellency Robert Ray. Apart from these activities in New York, the ICO have also discussed the conflict in Cameroon with the Vatican to facilitate a Geneva presentation where hundreds of diplomats and activists listened to the APG's presentation on the former British Southern Cameroon's plight. The ICO believes that the government of Cameroon and their leader and the leaders of the former British Southern Cameroons can come together and achieve peace by constructing a shared vision for a better future, said James, the chairman, the head of the ICO. He also make a quote from the head of the ICO, Mr. James. He said, "We know that peace cannot be imposed from above and that only communities themselves can determine what peace between them looks like. Unresolved dispute will only worsen over time." End of quote. The APG's shared vision for peace, justice, and equitable governance. We understand the depth of suffering experienced by the communities of the former British Southern Cameroon, the injustices of marginalization, and the enduring aspiration for dignity, equality, and self-determination. We are working towards cessation of hostilities between the pro-independent forces of the former British Southern Cameroon armed forces and the autonomy and referendum for the future of our territory. Ladies and gentlemen, this is now a personal message from me, Professor Generius Asungo, to you. On Thursday, November 28, 2024, I had the awesome responsibility of speaking on behalf of over 8 million of our people of the former British Southern Cameroons (Ambazonia) in this United Nations Forum for Minorities issue in Geneva. My address, as you know, focused on peace, specifically calling on the United Nations mediated cessation of hostility between the pro-independence fighters of our territory and the armed forces of Cameroon. I have called for a referendum for the future of our territory. This speech was heard by over 100 diplomats from all over the globe, as well as over 500 organizations that are working on the facet on minorities' rights. The response has been phenomenal. Since this historic presentation, for the first time of its kind by our territory, reactions have been mixed. There are those who hail it for a significant diplomatic breakthrough it has achieved, and there are others who have seen it as sellout and even insinuated that I have been bought over by the government of Cameroon. Yet, there are others who simply want to know me and how I have come about to unveil this peace plan, not just to the international community, but even more importantly, to the people. My credentials for leading this struggle at this critical moment are solid. I have studied this problem from an academic perspective and serve as a frontline activist dating back as in the 1980s. In 1993, I wrote and defended the dissertation of the Pontifical Urban University of Rome on the problem of national unity in Cameroon, where I argued for our right for national self-determination. I grew through the ranks of the Cameroon Anglophone movement, the Southern Cameroon National Congress, the SCNC, the Ambazonian Liberation Movement, and now the Alliance for Peace and Justice for the former British Southern Cameroons. The history of Ambazonia cannot be complete without recognizing the significant contribution I have made, including the development of the Ambazonian flag. Yes, I had developed and produced the Ambazonian flag that we are using today and that all of our people have embraced. Being a sponsor and plaintiff in the famous Banjul case against the Republic of Cameroon, registering of the SCNC in the United States, and currently leading another case in Banjul against the government of Cameroon. In May 2021, I founded a group called the Concerned Ambazonians with the hope of reconciling the factions, but this endeavor was futile. In 2024, I joined a group of nationalist organizations that was seeking resolution to this conflict through dialogue with the Cameroon government. Participants included members of the Consultative Commission and individuals such as Ebenezer Akwanga, Fontem Niba, amongst others. In September 2024, the Consultative Commission withdrew from the talks after failing to get money from the international community, and due to the fact that the international community wouldn't let them take control or take over the process. However, before leaving, they had been participating in the peace plan document, which they now criticize. After the Consultative Commission left, the remaining parties reached out to the other Ambazonian groups, large and small, inviting them to be part of this historic movement to end the war through the United Nations mediated peace agreement that should include a referendum for our future. On November 17, 2024, the Alliance for Peace and Justice for the former British Southern Cameroon, united by a shared vision for peace and justice, an equitable government, understand the depth of the suffering and experience of our communities. This alternative approach is not a surrender from the military battles on the ground, but it is an answer to the call for peace from our people, with the understanding that there can be no true peace without justice, and in keeping with our East-wide motto, the force of argument and not the argument of force. Our war of independence is proof that we take our rights seriously, but the time has come for peace. For the first time, there are voices from both sides signaling for dialogue. We are cognizant of gestures from the government of Cameroon that have acknowledged our unique status. While such gestures have fallen short of the minimum expectation of our people, we call on the government of Cameroon to engage us in genuine dialogue and negotiation, not the status quo where two sides are having parallel monologues while the masses continue to suffer unnecessarily. The consequences of the failure to dialogue have been dire. In the coming weeks and months, APG plans to engage all stakeholders in the struggle to ensure that our position is truly a representation not just of our grievances, but more especially of our goal and aspiration. Ours will be a democratic process involving not just the Ambazonian diaspora community, but especially those in Ground Zero. We are welcoming all opinions, even those who oppose ours, as we strive to put an end to the current quagmire. Fellow citizens, I ask you confidently, as a man who helped develop the Ambazonian flag, I wouldn't betray that very flag. As a man who has helped us in our legal victory in Banjul, you can count on my patriotism. As the man who created the first Ambazonian mission in the United States in Washington, D.C. and New York, you can count on my diplomatic skills. As the man who delivered the call for peace, justice, and referendum in the United Nations, I am unflinched in my commitment to the Ambazonian cause. As a man who has been blessed with financial stability, I am not going to compromise for the sake of money. As a realist, I acknowledge that while most Ambazonians will want their own country, today our territory is still internationally identified as part of Cameroon. As a philosopher and an academic, I know enough to state that our best path forward is through negotiation with the Cameroon government, negotiation supported by the international community. That is what the APJ promised to deliver. For this, I promise to do my best. How many years must our people suffer before you come to their rescue? How many times must our blood be shed before you listen to us? The answer, my friend, is needed by our people. The answer is urgently needed. God bless the people of the former British Southern Cameroons. Thank you.